Well, hello, y'all. I just want to tell you something about me and my thoughts right now. Now, I know you might not understand what I'm saying, but that's not because you can't speak English. That's because I'm a real Texan, and I speak Texan. Now, some people might say, you're proud to be Texan? I mean, of course I am. It's the biggest state of the United States before Alaska came. Now, in Texas, you get the biggest beef on your plate. In Texas, you get the biggest portions to eat. In Texas, you are the biggest and the greatest. And that's why I'm proud to be Texan. Now, but you know what? I gotta tell you something. I don't live in Texas right now. I live in Switzerland. Now, if I tell some guy about Switzerland, well, it could be a gal too. Well, if I tell them about Switzerland, the first thing they say, huh? What the hell? What did you just say? Switzerland? What is that? And I'm like, Switzerland, that's a country in Europe. And they're like, there's a country called Switzerland? And I'm like, yeah, you know, like where the Swiss knives come from? Swiss Army knives? They're like, oh yeah, you mean Sweden? And I'm like, oh my gosh, not Sweden, Switzerland. And I'm like, oh yeah, Swaziland. And that's really kind of not good to hear. I mean, they have like no idea of geography if they don't know the difference between Sweden, Swaziland, and Switzerland. Well, I live in Switzerland, and this is some itsy-bitsy tiny little country. If you compare it with Texas. If you compare it with anything, actually, Switzerland is just a little itsy-bitsy dot on planet Earth, and I live in there. Well, then after I finally can tell them that Switzerland actually is a country, I tell them about the Swiss Army knife. I'm like, yeah, you know, the Swiss Army knife is something they're proud of in Switzerland. And all tourists buy Swiss Army knives and swatches and stuff like that. But Swiss Army knives. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got a Swiss Army knife too. And guess what they show me? They show me this. This is a leatherman. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. They don't know the difference between a Swiss Army knife and a leatherman. Well, then I tell them about the Swiss cheese. And they kind of know what cheese is. But not really. Because I tell them about Swiss cheese, and they're like, oh yeah, I just had Swiss cheese yesterday night. You know, in those cans you can spray on your crackers. And I'm kind of disappointed to hear that, because cheese is not something that belongs in a can, but it belongs like it's a chunk. You cut it with your knife, with your Swiss Army knife. Well, then they started laughing because I said you cut the cheese with the knife. I mean, if you get what I mean with cutting the cheese. Yeah. Well, this is kind of, you know, disturbing to know that some Texan like me is living in a country no one has a clue of. Well, that's all for today. I don't want to say anymore. Hope you liked what I had to say, and maybe y'all can find out what the difference is between Swaziland, Sweden, Switzerland, leatherman, Swiss Army knife, and cutting a real cheese and cutting the cheese, okay? The difference. See you around, buds.